likely made for a stronger experience. Not only would part one end with a cliffhanger following Batman's defeat at the hands of Bane and imprisonment in the Lazarus Pit as Bane takes over Gotham, but a two-parter would have allowed for higher stakes and more room to develop and explore the class warfare theme, which, while heavily hyped as being a major part of the film before release, ended up being only superficially explored, which was a disappointment for some since the film came out just after Wall Street. Goyer has also said it's a logical assumption that had Ledger lived, his Joker would have been released along with the rest of Gotham's prisoners. Now imagine that as a one. However, with Ledger gone but his character kept alive, the elephant in the room remained. What to do with the Joker? Do you cast him, just mention him, or bring him back via CGI? At one point it was rumored that Nolan was considering including the cameo of the Joker in the film, likely bars using CGI and unused shots from the previous film, like J.J. Abrams would later do with Carrie Fisher in The Rise of Skywalker, after he passed away before production began. Ultimately, Nolan dismissed this idea for a couple of reasons. First, Nolan generally favors practical effects over CGI, as they tend to yield more dynamic results, and the prospect of a CGI rendered Joker that might appear unrealistic will be a significant concern.
Não é, eu avisei.
Como assim avisei-te? A Natasha Porta não toma banho no tempo.
Foste fazer ginástica e ias tomar banho. Foste fazer ginástica, agora vamos tomar banho. Tira. Então, fogo.
Está-me bem 3 vezes mais que vocês todos.
Está bem. Mas continuas a cheirar mal. Não sei porquê. Diz lá. Quem não te tomaste bem já cheiravas mal. É porque lavas bem. E depois ainda por cima vais fazer ginástica. Eu disse-te a ti, se fosses fazer ginástica, tinhas que ir tomar banho. E agora queres ir sem tomar banho? À cama. Vai. Cheira mal, troca o lençol. Não tens idade para isso. Mas cheira mal é que não tomas muito bem. É que eu queria fazer chinelo de banho. Daniela, está por agora. Já fui eu. Vira no chão.
Estou à espera. Lamorne. Olha,
Mexe a coluna da para baixo.
Damn swamp.
Deixa eu entrar lá como é que eu vou entrar.
ok. Ela surta a partir para cima da própria nora. Só não sabia que a culpa toda era do filho. Força do querer. A nora é quem é? A nora é quem é? Nora é mulher do filho? Acho que não.
Fazer xixi não é de agora. Não. Deve ser à tarde.
tudo está quase acabado. Eu nem sei se tem.
Olha o museu que está aí.
Ok. Eu só quero para
O museu está no chão. Agora, os tapetes.
Boa noite, pai, mãe, Natasha. O café sobe dia 5. A ver. Boa noite.
I am back. Ok, eu juro, eu não estava nada à espera. Não vai aparecer para me pedir que me apoio. Pedir não, exigir. Com isso. Ok, parecia ser semelhante, mas pelos vistos é mesmo semelhante, ok? Há um Oleandar 6. Eu odeio estes tipos, estes gajos quase que me matavam ainda, Phoenix. Quer dizer, por acaso até tinha alguma vida. Espero que seja aquilo. A besta está a chegar. E só eu posso pará-la. Por acaso eu acho que eles não usam essa música no Infamous 2. Não sei, mas eu genuinamente acho que essa música aí do primeiro deveria ter sido. Foda-se. Ah, não está escrito Exotic List 1, não está escrito. A mim parece-me que a área é bem semelhante, mas não é literalmente mesmo ao pé. Aua, aua. Não sei porque é que eu dei esta volta toda. Vanilla Flower. I have made. Minus. I guess my decision is I will only be playing Red Dead, nothing else. At least until school starts, right? I believe if I try. Eu acho que já peguei esta. Esta é aquela que eu peguei. Uhum. Esta é a que eu peguei ainda agora. That's right.
You okay, girl? Let's go.
Come on, bro. Vai sem mim então, cavalo. E agora não consegues passar por aí também. O que é que está ali? Deixa eu ver. Pronto, deixa os ovos. Tchau. Yeah, okay. Cavalo, onde é que está aí, cavalo? Yahoo! O cavalo está muito na moca, eu acho que eu devia tomar conta dele. Não dá, temos que continuar aí. Não me chamaram, pois não. Odeio quando fazem isto, pá. Foda-se, não. A gritar ou algo assim.
You got this, girl.
Come here! Get over here! Pois, nem lá perto. Tá bom. I am ashamed to call myself a hunter anymore. Não dá mais. É nota para o futuro.
Good girl. Let's go. There. Let's go, girl.
Your cause is so just.
Whoa now.
Já não ouço música há algum tempo, eu devia ouvir. Found you, faker. Faker. I think you're the only one. You're comparing. Oh, my God. You're comparing yourself to me. You're not even close enough. I'll make you eat those words. Mas é uma coisa meio em caráter que o Sonic podia fazer, tipo. Eu acredito
There's
genuinamente
my girl.
que a dobragem do Sonic Adventure 2 já. Tipo, já, ok, tem erros. Tem, mas pronto, já. A forma como eles falam é espetacular, tipo, porra. Uma flor vanilla. Show me. What you've got now. The sun is falling in the skies beyond. Light is fading from our world. Now's the time of reckoning. The final battle has begun. Don't give up until we save the world. Together we'll bring back our home. Trust in those who stand beside. And maybe we can win this war.
You know what to do, girl.
Yeah, okay, no. Ai. A glimmer. Eu vou entrar. Let us settle the score. It's that we see what we can settle and score. Father, so help me to never alter be severed again. Fire. Our causes so just those scatter like dust. Aimless of ashes. Acho que este é o último, não é? Os meus olhos estavam a enganar. Os meus óculos estão aqui. Estes são os outros, mas eu serve como uma substituição. Uma substituição. Nada de palavras estúpidas, ok? Adiciona muito à história. Or nada feito. On my way, there's a track to make decay. When you see the battle's done, shining Not afraid not to lose it all. Fortnite. Yeah, I feel inside a truth to find. So let there be light. Ah, pode ser assim. Eu não sei o que é que eu.
Oh, partner!
Hey, my man. Eu não percebo porque é que o jogo não me deixa andar à máxima velocidade. Tipo, isso é bué da estúpido. E já não é o Arthur que está aqui.
I'm an old friend of Tacitus Kilgore. You used to pay him to go find some items for you. He's moved on now, I'm afraid.
Tacitus, how can I forget? Well, better 7 years late than never, I suppose.
Jim Milton.
Charmed.
I got the plumes and the orchids that you asked for.
You did! Ah, the Duchess of Sorrento will be most happy with you. She's an old friend, the Duchess. Gone to seed a little now, but in her youth, oh, she was the most beautiful woman in all of Italy. Ah, a Neapolitan pearl. Even I would have been. No. Bellissima. Oh, quite astonishing. You're good. Oh, you're very good. Algernon, I whispered to myself. I said, this man has the eye of an artist. No, he's better than an artist. He's a man of taste, a connoisseur like you. Oh, that's what I murmured to myself, and I wasn't wrong. No, sir, I was quite right. Marvelous.
How much do I get?
Well, I don't know. At least $100. This should set you right. I'm sorry it's cash. I prefer something less vulgar, but such is life.
I'm fine with cash. Anything else you need?
Me? No, I'm fine. There is one thing. More orchids. Quite a particular list, but once again, I will make it worth your troubles.
Okay.
It's a little something I'm making for the Baroness von Buchwald. You know how she is.
Very demanding.
Dreadfully so. The best ones, they always are.
Não. Foda-se. As cutscenes são bué da boas, mas porra. O jogo é bué da longo. É maior que o meu. Não dizer. É bem pequenino. Gator Eggs, Akuna Star. Ok, Gator Eggs acho que já tem, né? Lady Slipper, Aaron. Interesting. How many do I have? Isto não diz, não é? Isto só diz tipo. Eu não sei porque é que eles não podiam ter um contador exato, mas pronto, já. Cereais, Wild Mint. Iron Plum. Sério que eu não tenho nenhuma Iron Plum? Estranho. Aparentemente a localização das plumas é a mesma. Aí esses marcadores. Pois eu encontrei vários Aerons quando eu estava a coisa, né? Então se calhar deve ter mais. E não importa a qualidade da carne, né? Então vamos com o Little Repeater. Repeater. Three-peater. Repeater. Eu acho que literalmente chama-se Repeater depois. There's a zombie on your lawn. 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 I know your type, all dark and dead. You want to bite off all the battle shaped off my head. Didn't be the one who just planted me here. You're that so it doesn't matter. So, já tenho duas, não faz mal. É preciso só ser Aaron ou é tipo. I used to play football. Here's what around my head. I ever screamed or shoot. Eu não sei. You already dead. There's a zombie on your lawn. There's a zombie on your lawn. We don't put zombies on our lawn. And there's a zombie on your lawn.
Hey, easy.
Não, Vulture, não é? Então, fuck you, Vulture. Fuck you, Vulture. Arigato. Não you be the Baca. Meu nome é Baca.
This ain't the girl I know. That's my lady.
Eles não podem depois. Oh, bro.
Easy.
Aproveito. Quantos ovos de crocodilos é que eu tenho que ter? Eu não sei. here. It doesn't matter. Okay.
That the snake bite, fella? Again?
Help me! You won't believe it. I got bitten again. I'm already dying.
I won't shoot. Oh, maybe I should.
It's real deep. Suck it out
Can't
of me,
believe I'm
please.
doing this. Hold still. Never again, fella. Be smart from now on.
Oh, I owe you so much, mister. Can't believe you saved my life twice.
Me neither.
Well, I best be getting back to town.
Duas vezes? Não, não, foi mais do que isso. Então, what the fuck, eu quero o meu crédito.
You're okay. You're okay. Been through it, ain't we?
Tchau. Parte da malária. I know I'm in way, you can last forever. Remember the friends we fun together.
Please, can you help me?
What happened here?
Looking for food. Honest. Feller went crazy. Came at us. Stabbed my friend here. Please, you gotta get me out of these shackles. Oh, thank God. I sure appreciate that. Listen, there's a stash of money hidden beneath some rocks. Across from the train tracks and roads. Across from the water tower. It's all yours. Now I'm gonna get out of here.
Spell shifts off my head and then he down. Okay.
Prisoners from Blackgate Penitentiary as soon as the Joker was incarcerated there, Bane could have stopped his henchmen from releasing the Joker too. Worried that he's too unpredictable, they could ruin Bane's plan. However, the challenge Nolan faced is if the Joker's mentioned in tease in some way, the audience can't help but start wanting for the character, taking the focus off the movie's watching. It's like seeing a great trailer before a movie you didn't see, and wanting to see the movie the trailer is advertising more than the movie you're about to watch. As a result of this, Nolan went with option 3 and decided not to mention the Joker at all. However, it's worth noting that as per the film's novelization, Blackgate Prison replaced Arkham Asylum as the preferred location for imprisoning both convicted and suspected felons, with the worst of the worst being sent there, except for the Joker, who rumor had it was locked away as Arkham's sole remaining inmate. And while fans have long speculated that the Joker would have been the judge in place of Scarecrow in his kangaroo court, the truth is, if Ledger survived, we would have got an entirely different movie, with Ledger's Joker being a major part of the film, considering his enormous popularity. And that's because Nolan, other than having some vague ideas, never planned any of these films out ahead of time, and whatever ideas he had in mind for the Joker in the third film went out the window after Ledger died. Thanks for watching, everybody, and don't forget to like and subscribe to Bullets and Blockbusters for more great content.
I don't care about the stars. I stick a piece in my mouth and do this myself. What? She can't stand the sight of me. Now I see the funny side. Now I'm always smiling.
In Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight, this is the most chilling moment. Heath Ledger's Joker alters his backstory, signaling to us that he's truly a wild card in the vein of Alan Moore's The Killing Joke. To this day, we do not know who he is or where he came from, and essential to that mystery, I just realized, is Ledger's makeup. It's a living painting that hints at an untold story about this Joker's supposed madness. And I promise you, there is one specific detail hidden in the Joker's makeup in this shot that'll make this analysis worth a watch. I'm Eric Voss, and this is The Deep Dive, a channel that dives deep into the films we love to reveal new details that we both deserve and need right now. The Dark Knight remains the best superhero film adaptation of all time, and one of the all-time biggest summer game changers. And despite talking about it on the main New Rockstars channel before, 5 years later, and 3 other live-action movie Jokers later, I had to revisit The Dark Knight with an even deeper dive, because every rewatch unearths new details, and I believe that hiding in plain sight on the Joker's face lies the truth of his origin. The film opens with the Batman logo emblazoned in fire. All 3 of Nolan's Batman movies open with the Batman sigil formed by the elements to frame the hero's coming trials. In that movie, Batman begins with swarming bats to show Bruce's embracing of his fear of bats. The Dark Knight rises with cracking ice to show Bruce breaking through veins frozen over Gotham. Here, fire is the Joker's tool. He burns cars and hospitals, half with Harvey Dent's face. He loves gasoline and gunpowder. His whole message is,
Everything burns.
which is why Alfred's solution is to fight fire with fire. And by the way, that solution is actually a callback to Batman Begins, where Ra's al Ghul says,
Or supposed to alarm the fire.
We start with Gotham City, using the Chicago skyline, as Nolan wanted Gotham to be the principal character of this movie, with multiple tiers and dimensions, the Chicago skyline, the elevated train, the street level, streets like Lower Wacker Drive. Nolan's Gotham is a microcosm of human society as a whole, and this pristine facade is marred by a window shattering. And yeah, you can see Nolan's helicopter reflecting the windows, but it is a beautiful sunny day. This isn't when crime happens in Batman movies, but that is the point. Gotham is a normal-looking American city about to explode. The Joker stands in broad freaking daylight on the street corner. No one bats an eye. And Nolan shows him only from behind, focusing on his mask. I love these masks. Each member of this heist has their own unique clown mask. Costumer Lindy Hemmings said that the gang would have gotten a box of plain white masks, and each decorated their own according to their own personality. The Joker's mask is a similar design worn by Cesar Romero's Joker in an episode of the 60s Batman series, but this Joker is, after all, a painter. He uses his own face as a canvas, and his external mask here is a side clown face, while his internal mask on the side is a walking paradox of a tragedy mask and a comedy mask. Also developing the Joker in the background is a poster for Spider-Man 3 since it was in theaters when they shot this in Chicago. Composer Hans Zimmer's Joker theme starts as a single detail to play over electric cello. Zimmer also experimented with razor blades on piano wire and sharpened metal into guitar strings. This single sharp edge that gave Joker his spark was used to bring his anxiety into some music.
Parece que o Bingo está começando. Vamos começar.
Epá, calem a boca.
When the getaway car pulls up, the driver says,
Let's do this. Consider he's still take a slice. I know what they call him, the Joker.
yes, three of a kind, a hand in poker. Poker being a recurring motif in this film.
Chips are down. You need an ace in the hole.
Also, the Joker's address is Harvey/Rachel, 250 52nd Street, and Anagram 25052. There are 52 cards in the deck, not counting 2 Jokers. So the Joker's plan in this movie is to double the wild card Madman, with Harvey Dent being the second Joker. The Joker playing card is his calling card, as we learned at the end of 2005's Batman Begins, when Jim Gordon shared it. And on the evidence bag label, it reads, it was discovered by J. Care, with Joseph Care being an alias for the Joker in the comics. Maybe a clue pointing to this Joker's origin working as a police patrolman. But often discussed with The Dark Knight is the way the Joker uses game theory, which is the discipline of applying mathematical and logical models to social dynamics. This opening heist, in which the Joker plays 5 thieves to eliminate each other one by one, is an example of the pirate game, in which the most senior pirate bribes the weakest pirate to conspire against the other so that he can take the biggest share of the loot. And other than the Joker, the last pirate standing is Abbas Driver, who one would argue is probably the weakest of the other 5. So while the Joker manipulates Gotham's criminals here, his true plan is to activate the most fearful of Gotham, the financially desperate and mentally ill in Batman Begins. Ra's al Ghul in the League of Shadows manipulates the city's corruption and infrastructure. In The Dark Knight Rises, Bane in the League of Shadows manipulates the financial elites and Bolshevik classes. The Joker manipulates just regular, scared folk. He comes not from the shadows, or from a prison, or from a psych ward, or from a war zone, or from a freak accident. He comes from broad daylight on the sidewalk. He's one of us. He's a face in the crowd, and that's what makes him so scary. The others speculate about the Joker.
There's wears makeup. Makeup? Yeah, to scare people. You know, war paint.
Like Ra's al Ghul in Begins and Bane in Rises, the Joker begins this movie hiding in plain sight, while others talk about him like he's not in the vicinity. William Fichtner plays the bank manager who begins bespectacled, and then, just with a strong vocal choice, reveals his mob connection.
You know you're stealing from. You and your friends are dead.
You and your friends are dead! Yeah, that's why the emergency call went out to a private number, and why the locksmith has to put his rubber-soled shoes on his hands to avoid getting electrocuted. This is a mob bank, which means no cops are called. It means no Batman is notified. The manager fires a shotgun in the direction of innocents in the background, not caring who he hits. The Joker tells the other that the manager is out of rounds, hoping that he'll get shot to make his elimination game easier. Now, Fichtner also appeared in Michael Mann's Heat, which Nolan used as a major tonal influence for the Dark Knight film. From an amazing opening heist sequence, though this robbery is really closer to the climactic downtown LA bank robbery in Heat, and the fact that both The Dark Knight and Heat feature midpoint interview scenes where the opposing figures pick each other apart from the table. And as with Heat, The Dark Knight vastly underestimates the weight of double bagging that would be filled with cash, which would actually weigh somewhere around 350 pounds. The manager screams,
I believe.
It's the Joker's first line of dialogue in this movie, and it's a joke. It's a pretty good pun. Seems to indicate that Joker survives the past trauma. I think you read this line a different way. One doesn't kill you, makes him stranger. One doesn't kill in these movies, Batman. So the Joker is Tony, and Batman is the one who made him stranger. The fear that Batman has stricken into Gotham has led to this madness. And the music we hear on the face reveal goes from D to C. So there is kind of a DC reference there, but overall what makes The Dark Knight fun to analyze is that it's mostly devoid of Easter eggs, because Christopher Nolan doesn't really care much for Easter eggs. He instead uses his attention to detail to make you care about the scene that we are currently in, and not make you think about some other pop culture thing. And yes, this is our first look at Heath Ledger's face in this movie, and Nolan fills the screen with it. The Glasgow smile was formed by 3 pieces of stamped silicone. Prosthetic supervisor Connor told Empire that he thought back to the punk and skinhead era, when gang members would have scarred faces like this, and he he thought about a specific memory when a delivery of fruit machines was made near his workshop, and that delivery man had a Glasgow smile, also known as a Chelsea smile, and he said that he got that from what he called a dog fight. The prosthetic supervisor didn't ask any further questions. So the origin of this Joker scar, of course, remains a mystery, but just that he has them frightens the criminal establishment of Gotham, because this new guy can tolerate more pain than they can. Nolan deliberately chose not to define the backstory as a nod to the Joker's multiple choice backstory in The Killing Joke, but also to avoid humanizing him, because he's not meant to be seen as a character, as he is really just a force of chaos, opposing the order that Batman represents. Nolan was obsessed with the paintings of Francis Bacon. He wanted to find a way to translate that to Ledger's face. Makeup artist John Caglione Jr. expressed that through the Joker's makeup, instructing Ledger to scrunch up his face and form a wide smile to form creases in his face and all these textures that would make the makeup look cracked when he relaxed his face. That means to get into character, every morning Ledger had to hold this angry face and this really wide smile as the makeup was applied over the course of an hour. Imagine what that would do to your emotional state. Now, Ledger would smear the makeup on his own face for the first camera test so that they could see what it would look like if the Joker had applied it himself, and then after that point they would do their best to recreate it every day. Though, Ledger would always apply the red lipstick, and since his bottom lip was all prosthetic, he developed this tic of constantly licking it, giving him the appearance of a dog throughout the film. You can even see early interviews Ledger did for the film where he instinctively goes back to this tic when he talks about the prosthetics.
Your makeup was incredible. What was that experience like, playing the Joker?
It was awesome. Yeah, it was the most fun I've had playing a character, hands down.
And I always notice this little splotch of red on the far right of his smile, which is separated by just a bit of white, which gives it the effect that that part of the scar is actively bleeding through the makeup. And yes, throughout the film, you can always see white paint on the Joker's fingers and under his fingernails in every scene from where he would have applied his own makeup. And to me, that gives a completely different context to the slight alterations to the Joker's makeup scene to scene, how much preparation he put into each step of his plan, what he was doing when we didn't see him, and really what that tells us about him. And I'm going to be coming back to that throughout this analysis. We cannot overlook Ledger's brilliant performance as the Joker. His costuming inspired by Iggy Pop and Adam Ant, his vibe a bit of Alex from Stanley Kubrick's A Clockwork Orange, his voice a bit of Tom Waits.
I feel like I'm at my grandmother's.
But this was a singular psychology that Ledger formed by holding up alone in a hotel room for a month. And many believe he paid a price for this role, because Ledger did die from an accidental overdose in January 2008. This film coming out after his death just gave his performance an eternal, spooky, spectral quality. So the Joker guns down the bus driver without looking, as the Joker was described in the Man in Glass graphic novel. Well, he didn't even look at them, like killing them wasn't even important. Now that title, The Man in Glass, comes from Victor Hugo's novel in a 1928 film adaptation with a character who has a similarly forced smile. And the Joker using a school bus to go down a perfectly positioned scene and then driving that bus back into traffic of other school buses. Yeah, it's all a bit silly, inconvenient, but the action works for a character like the Joker, and it's important because Nolan mixes in the sounds of kids on the other buses to make us worried about this madman just slipping in with all of our kids. He begins as a face in the crowd, and he resumes his starting position as one of us. And yes, the film's production crew designed the Gotham license plates to look like Illinois license plates so that the Chicago car's background would blend in. Again, a kind of Easter egg, but really just one design to not take us out of the movie. Now that night, Jim Gordon lights up the bat signal, and he tells Ramirez that he does this just to remind criminals that Batman might be out there. So as far as he knows, no active crimes are being committed. This is just a preventative fear tactic, but Gordon is actively making the criminal class more paranoid and more desperate. Ramirez hands him a coffee.
I thought you had to go look after your mother, Detective.
Detective Batman loves.
Yeah, we get this line early to establish Ramirez as vulnerable. Really, this movie's whole second half hinges on Ramirez's decision to kidnap Harvey Dent. In every scene she's in, she drops little clues that she's going to turn on us. Cillian Murphy returns from Batman Begins as Dr. Jonathan Crane, Scarecrow, in a drug deal with the Chechen, complaining that Crane's hallucinogenic drugs are making his customers bug out. These damaged souls are growing in number in the city, and these are the folks that Joker will recruit. A few copycat Batmen attack with guns and pocket rockets. These are based on the Sons of Batman from Frank Miller's Dark Knight Returns. I like how Nolan smartly shoots these first two action sequences in daylight and then a brightly lit parking garage. This makes the action crisp and clear with high contrast, and we see how Nolan is improving on his darkly lit action from Batman Begins. Now, it's interesting how Gordon and Batman don't arrive at that hit mob bank until over 24 hours later. Like, a day has definitely passed, which tells us that the mob didn't report this until after they had a chance to regroup. Gordon shows Batman the security photo of the Joker, and he is looking directly at the camera of it, and its date is July 18th, 2008, which was this movie's release date. Alfred finds Bruce in his temporary Batcave since the mansion and cave burned down in Batman Begins, but Nolan always moves this location in this cool way, having the ceiling and its diagonal lines take up like 2/3 of the frame. And Nolan comes back to this interior framing for any time these makeshift Batcaves show up, just to kind of suggest a subterranean feel. Harvey Dent prosecutes Sal Maroni, who took over the Falcone crime operation since Carmine Falcone was arrested in Batman Begins, and the witness pulls a carbon fiber gun on him, recalling the Long Halloween comics when Sal Maroni throws acid on Harvey Dent's face, making him Two-Face. But here, Dent tells Maroni,
in China, if you want to kill a public servant, Mr. Maroni, I recommend you buy American.
This pro-American sentiment doesn't just mirror Lau as an ineffective route for the mob to launder their money, but it shows that an American everyman like the Joker will ultimately do far more damage to Gotham public servants. The Dark Knight as film really is a story about city politics. This shows that Maroni is aware of that he wants to murder the same space, and he tries his best to compartmentalize. Or tells that you don't have this stuff.
They have a different name for me down at MCU.
Yeah, of course, the other name is Harvey Two-Face, but Dent as the White Knight contrasts Batman as the titular Dark Knight of this movie. It's a story about how Gotham can only survive with the illusion of a White Knight while being shadow defended by a Dark Knight. But in these opening scenes, we have to note that Dent is not morally pure. His double-sided coin is an instrument of manipulation. He uses it to take lead in the Maroni trial ahead of Rachel, despite being late to the trial and Rachel being far more prepared, just so that he can score political points. And he also says that he used this coin to score his first date with Rachel. I just think we forget that Harvey Dent starts his movie as kind of a manipulative jackass. Meanwhile, Bruce asks Lucius Fox for a new suit.
But it's a little 90s, Mr. Wayne. Turn your head.
Sure, we're backing out of the driveway.
Yeah, two nods there to the 90s version of the Batsuit, in which Batman couldn't turn his head without turning his whole body. During dinner, we see Christian Bale channel his Patrick Bateman rich prick energy. It's just interesting to watch Rachel in these moments because she knows that Bruce is playing a character.
Who appointed the Batman? We did. All of us who stood by and let scum take control of our city.
Bruce is doing this as a test to see if Harvey Dent will yes and his elitism, but Harvey, to his credit, doesn't take the Bateman bait.
You either die a hero, or you live to see yourself become a villain.
They're talking about Julius Caesar, who took control of Rome but never gave up his power, becoming a dictator. The point being, absolute power corrupts absolutely. And of course, foreshadows Harvey Dent in this movie having to die a hero so that Gotham won't know that he lived long enough to become the villain, while Batman lives on as that pariah as the film ends. But there is something deeper here, that Dent believes the system itself is toxic, and that Gotham and all society cannot be redeemed by steady public leadership. He believes only by martyrs who make enemies and die before their time. So really, Harvey Dent is laying out the thematic gauntlet for Bruce in this movie. Can society be cured from the shadows? And is there a way to do that without scaring everyone out of their wits as the Joker does? The ballerina Natasha hints at the answer here, covering half of Dent's face with the white paper, making him a masked White Knight, but also foreshadowing how half his face will be disfigured and need to be covered up, but, with a hot dog fold instead of a hamburger. Lau meets with Maroni, the Chechen, and Gamble, telling them he already moved their money before Gordon's raid, thanks to Mr. Maroni's well-placed sources referring to Ramirez. Notice how Ramirez is the last detective to enter that bank. She hangs back. Now, while the Chechen entered this bank from one end passing through the metal detectors, this is supposed to be the only entrance they know about at the scene other than the one that the Joker leaves through. The Joker enters through a completely different part of the room, through the back.
I thought my jokes were bad.
So think about it. To get in this room, Joker must have had to pull up in this kitchen, like in a cupboard, fridge, oven, overnight before the monsters arrived. Ate it. Yes, he could have fought someone off, but at this point in the movie, he's still an unknown to all of them. I just think our man was patient, because one detail about his makeup here, the black paint around his eyes, hinted a bit. I think he was sweating in a cramped oven for over 12 hours. The Joker shows off his great pencil trick. Yeah, the Joker put the pencil through the guy's eye socket. It's called transorbital intercranial penetrating injury. It happens so fast, it feels like magic. And the Joker says,
oh, and by the way, the suit wasn't cheap. You ought to know, you bought it.
Yeah, he's telling them that he was eavesdropping earlier when Maroni said it.
With a cheap purple suit and makeup, nothing trouble.
We cannot look away from Ledger's painted face in this movie. It's partly because of the way he moves it. He tilts his head forward in this scene so that the whites of his eyes beneath his pupils contrast more sharply with black makeup. It's a meeker, more inviting pose. He spent a lot of time in front of a mirror testing to see how his painted face will look at different angles. Joker offers to kill the Batman, or...
Yeah, you're crazy.
Gamble seems to the touched a nerve by calling him crazy, and Joker does this little twitch with his eye. Joker has been diagnosed by real psychologists as a psychopath, but he doesn't consider himself crazy. The Joker's offer is another example of game theory called the shrinking pie game, in which two kids have an ice cream pie that's quickly melting, and the longer they take to figure out how to split it, the less pie they'll have to eat each. The idea being, waiting is costly, and applied to the mobsters in this scene, every seizure of their profits is the shrinking pie, and according to the economic mathematical rules of the shrinking pie game, often take 50%. It's actually a very generous offer, which is why Joker thinks he's not crazy for offering it. Meanwhile, Dent, Batman, and Gordon meet atop the police building, and I just realized it was Harvey Dent who lit the bat signal before Tron, thinking it was criminal trying to track him. All three men here are trying to save Gotham in their own way. You got the White Knight idealist in Harvey Dent, the Grey Knight realist in Jim Gordon, and the Dark Knight supernatural force in Batman. All of them are paranoid that the Joker is taking advantage of the daylight in between them. Though we should know, Dent is dead right that if it was Gordon's working Ramirez who needs to be their disorientation and saved by opening the camera around them letting the actors just shout at each other and kill time. It reminds me of Spielberg's shot in Jaws, where Brody, Hooper, and the mayor have it out. And this analogy where you have the little man, you elect the public servants, that would say Hooper as Batman. He is a rich kid with fancy gear. And it's interesting with this orbiting shot, Nolan uses a parallel shot of Joker with Rachel at the party, and he initially moves the camera clockwise to show how all this spinning and control this tornado started with the Joker. Though, and Nolan shot both views a sleek close. Similar shot in text, Lucius recommends a real CIA service to air recovery system called Skylo, which is also featured in the Lucius said the in partnership for fighting against cancer. In 1992, Batman returned, Catwoman does sing suit in
Night. He goes.
Now, of course, the Joker, we learn later, is an unreliable narrator. He is making all this up, and he is using Gamble calling him crazy before to paint his top story about how he could be, in Gamble's eyes, crazy. And remember, earlier he snapped, "No, I'm not," popping that T in a knot, and Ledger pops the T here as well.
He doesn't like that. Not.
There's just so many little acting twists by Ledger. I've just seen them. And as the Joker heightens the story, Gamble, in the very end, he shifts his eyeline to Gamble's lieutenant to reveal the story is not for Gamble, it's for the guy he wants to try to recruit.
Why so serious?
Joker snaps a pool stick and drops in the middle of Gamble's three lieutenants, which is exactly what Joker's trying to do with the three heads of Gotham, turning them against each other. Now, the Hong Kong section of the movie sometimes feels like Christopher Nolan just trying to do a globe-trotting espionage sequence in the vein of 007, an excuse to shoot a massive city in IMAX. But watching it now, I think we need it in the film to show the height of Batman's power, because in every other action scene in this movie, Batman takes a humanistic beating, or outright loses, and we need one insane supernatural victory for the Batman, a timed extraction from a skyscraper so that Batman has a greater height to fall from. Like, when Batman plants the time bombs on the windows, they count down from 2 minutes and 23 seconds, and in real time with film's runtime, 2 minutes and 23 seconds later, they detonate. The plausibility here sells the win. Batman does this in real time, and he uses a real CIA skyhook device to pull off an extradition for an American city's district attorney. Harvey and Rachel use Rico from Lau's bookkeeping to try all the mob leaders together. Judge Cirillo finds a Joker card in her docket, and since they later find traces of her DNA on a clue, it means that someone close to her is in the Joker's network. The Joker, as we see throughout this movie, is increasingly becoming everywhere. And yes, while it's a bit of theatrics by Harvey Dent to try 549 criminals all at once, Dent does this to stun these gangs with steep bail costs so that their operations cannot adjust fast enough. It's clever, but it's also the kind of manipulation that Joker uses to overwhelm Gotham with crisis after crisis after crisis to immobilize the city. Again, like every deck of cards, this movie really has two Jokers. Mayor Anthony Garcia warns,
They get anything on you. Those criminals are back on the streets. Followed swiftly like you and me.
Yeah, Nolan is really effective at jump scares, as he proved in Inception. Now, this poor guy is hockey pads from earlier. Joker painted his face like this, and he pinned a Joker card with the Slim Shady reference with a real Batman, please stand up. Heath Ledger himself shot this handheld footage of the wannabe Batman, Brian Douglas. Notice how he is killing him in a butcher shop with dead pigs hanging. Symbolism here, being Joker's way of calling Batman a pig. Joker growls. Oh my god. In addition to Ledger's terrifying voice, if you listen a bit longer, you can hear him again licking his scars behind the camera. The Joker is obsessed with people looking at him, and he says the same words to Rachel later. Look at me. So at this fundraiser, Dent meets Alfred.
Rachel talks about you all the time. You've known her her whole life. Oh, not yet.
Foreshadowing that Rachel's life will end by the end of this movie, Bruce arrives in style with 3 dates, heightening the 2 dates he crashed the restaurant with. Batman Begins. Their dress colors, with Bruce's black suit, some say reflect the magenta, yellow, black, and cyan colors of the CMYK printers used for comic books. I don't know about that. I just think Bruce wanted to peacock to play the part of a rich prick. Bruce tosses his drink over the balcony, and later, the Joker will also toss out his drink before pantomiming to sip in the glass. Both of these men are playing the part of partygoers, but actually really hate being at parties. Meanwhile, Judge Cirillo and Commissioner Loeb get assassinated, Loeb by poison, Cirillo by car bomb. Though Cirillo really should have suspected these cops, letting her drive her own car and claiming to not know her destination. I just noticed that as her car blows up, the crooked cop in the passenger seat starts to smile and say, boom, to make fun of her. Joker crashes the party and eats an appetizer. He chews it quickly, kind of like a dog, because the scars would make it harder for him to use his cheeks to keep the food in place. The party guest who reminds him of his father is actually U.S. Senator Patrick Leahy from Vermont, who cameos in many Batman films. When Joker first approaches Rachel, the camera moves clockwise, but after he grabs her face, Nolan pivots to make the camera orbit counterclockwise, which makes this moment especially disorienting, because I maintain it is the most unnerving part of the film. He changes his scar story from child abuse to self-mutilation to please a wife, so A, we now can't trust anything he says, and B, we feel Rachel's discomfort. As a woman he's just called beautiful, hearing a story about how he scarred himself to reflect a scarred lover.
I just want her to know that I don't care about the scars.
Zimmer's electric strings and up the scale, sounding like a plane crashing. That could be wrong. The Ledger and Gyllenhaal are so sharply in focus, it looks like they're plated in over the background. Like Nolan got this spinning shot separately on a green screen to get the movement perfect and didn't want to interrupt Ledger's take. And there's a little tell here, once again, hidden in the Joker's makeup. A bit of moisture beneath his nose. In one shot, catching the light of the wall behind him, because I think that wet spot reflecting the green screen got keyed out. But when the Joker leaned back to say, now I'm smiling, his makeup's changed a little bit. It's been faded, his hair is a bit looser. I think we're back to the actual penthouse set for this take. What creeps me out about discovering this green screen cover-up is that Nolan inserted into the bigger scene this particular take with this anecdote about the gambling wife, which makes me wonder if Ledger could have done a dozen close-up takes with a dozen different backstories. His multiple-choice origin could be even more multiple-choice than we thought. I told you, there are so many details hidden in the Joker's makeup that no one, I think 15 years later, has talked about these. So please subscribe to this channel. That's my mission with all of these deep dives, and I feel like I've delivered on everyone so far. Now, Batman doesn't let the Joker tell him where in Gotham City he can't go. He has full access to Gotham, just like you could have full access to your favorite streaming library if you were using ExpressVPN. Did you know that Netflix has a with Joker just to see the VPN has? We're so close in on these two that Batman's sudden appearance right beside them kind of makes visual sense, but not really. Like Nolan's frantic cutting during this fight makes it a bit hard to follow, but Nolan smartly ends the fight with this punchline. Let her go.
Right, poor choice of words.
And as Batman lunges after her, you can see the Joker laughing as he steps aside, which is something he makes note of later.
Wait, threw yourself after her.
Bruce tells Alfred,
Those aren't complicated, Alfred.
Bruce is accidentally echoing Ra's al Ghul from Batman Begins.
It's not complicated.
This shows how Bruce is nearsighted. He's not yet adapted to this new class of criminal. So Alfred shares his story of hunting a bandit, Burma, who kept throwing the jewels away.
Some men just want to watch the world burn.
This was the line in the very first 2007 teaser for The Dark Knight, and this, along with Ledger's unhinged Joker laugh, was enough to sell us on this movie.
Some men just want to watch the world burn. I'm a man of my word.
Alfred suggests there is no why to this kind of pyromania, that some men are just advocates of chaos. And I think the fear that this movie dances with is the prospect that all men, somewhere in their hearts, want to watch the world burn. When true heroism is not burning down our worlds around us, it's braving the heat, standing strong. Now, The Dark Knight does feature a bit of detective work, with Batman cutting the brick with a lodged bullet from the Patrick Harvey Richard Dent crime scene so that he can re-engineer the shattered bullet to get a fingerprint. This will lead Batman to an apartment of another criminal named Melvin White, whose fingerprint the Joker used for this bullet, a room where the Joker keeps a kidnapped honor guard, and rigged this window shade to distract the snipers. So did the Joker know that they would be able to pull free from the rig using some advanced ballistics tech? Is this a clue that the Joker was actually a cop? Did he set all of this up? Look, there are a lot of steps in the Joker's overall plan in this movie that don't really hold up under logical scrutiny, like that a surgically implanted gun bomb would knock out everyone in his police station but leave him standing. That's why it's just best to think of the Joker as a force of chaos. Murphy's Law embodies the three cornerstones of Murphy's Law, and not really a human bound by the same laws of nature and plausibility as we are. That's kind of what makes him creepy and compelling in this movie. But we can say, based on Batman having given Gordon irradiated bills, it's safe to say that Joker knew Gordon and Batman had some super detective tech, and yes, he might have designed this step of the plan to place Batman in a sniper's nest during the mayor's assassination to make it easier for him to assassinate the mayor while the snipers were directed elsewhere, to make Batman a Lee Harvey Oswald patsy while the Joker was able to fire from the grassy knoll. Really, I think the Joker's actual wink in this crime scene comes in the premature obituary that he printed. Not only does he foretell that he'll use a high-powered rifle to kill the mayor, he also slips in a future target for the movie, Gotham General Hospital. And I think this means the Joker already planted bombs in this hospital. He has set up the entire city of Gotham as a game of mousetrap. The accountant Coleman Reese tries to blackmail Wayne Enterprises, but Lucius calls his bluff.
Got the tire burning through the chain. It's related to cell phones for the arm.
Cell phones. So earlier, where Lucius told Reese to check the company and just keep busy, but only now Reese finds something new, and it is because Bruce went behind Lucius's back to expand the phone sonar tech that Lucius used in Hong Kong. So Lucius wasn't sloppy. It was Bruce desperately rushing a surveillance tool to find the Joker that he knew Lucius would shut down if he knew about it, and that's what raised the red flag for Reese. On the day of Commissioner Loeb's funeral, we get our one look at the Joker's unpainted face as he disguises himself as a cop in the honor guard in plain sight. It's crazy how several moments before we actually see him in close-up, he's standing right there, front and center, directly in the eye line of the people on stage. Dent, Gordon, Rachel, he is right there, guys. So this shows us that despite his recurring commands to look hard, the only face that they've been seeing is the clown makeup facade the Joker paints for them, not his real face, his actual scars. And perhaps the scariest face the Joker bears in this movie is this one, the one he doesn't paint. So why does Jim Gordon pretend to be dead in this moment? I think he recognizes the only way he'll get the Joker to stop firing at the stage is if the Joker thinks he got another high-profile police target instead of the mayor. Notice how, as the Joker and his guys scramble, just notice that David Dastmalchian's character named Thomas Schiff is flashing the creepiest, whitest grin as he turns to flee. Then kidnaps Schiff, and while Batman interrogates Maroni by dropping him from a ledge only high enough to break his legs, Dent presses a hot gun barrel against Schiff's head, freaking him out with a coin flip. Batman stops him.
Paranoid schizophrenic. Former patient at Arkham, the kind of mind the Joker attracts.
So Batman's saying that the Joker is recruiting the mentally ill of Gotham, particularly people who are already afraid of everything. The Joker is not the enemy, the overall concept of fear is. Now again, Dent's coin is double-sided, but flipping it over and over is definitely a kind of psychological torture that Gotham's White Knight District Attorney should not engage in. It wasn't the face burning that turns Harvey mad, or even losing Rachel. It's the fear and anxiety that's plaguing the city. The fear that also pushes Bruce to nearly turn himself in, despite what Alfred advises.
Endure, Master Wayne. No hate you for it. That's the point of Batman.
Yeah, indeed. It is scary to be hated, but a true hero is not always loved. That's not the job of the hero. During Dent's press conference, the crowd heckles, "Things are worse than ever. Earth's up in." I love this because this is a press conference. This man is a professional journalist, from the same class of Gotham media who let the Joker run a death threat as a full-page obituary. What are the journalistic standards of Gotham? Anyway, I just like this detail because the press corps are clearly as freaked out as the average citizens are. Dent says in his speech,
"Night is darkest just before the dawn."
unless he's referring to a steady moon just before dawn, nights typically are darkest at that point. They are sometimes coldest at that point, but still this shows an optimistic outlook, a false optimism in the quickly. Because Dent, the White Knight, will go dark, and our Dark Knight will fulfill his Black Hat status and go darkest as the movie closes on a sunrise. Harvey begins this movie sharing a duality with Batman, the White Knight, Dark Knight, the flip side of the double-sided coin, but that will change in the second half of the movie as Harvey Dent transforms into the second Joker in the deck of cards. So Dent claims to be Batman, and he gets transferred, and I like how Stevens applauds while Words just kind of glares at him, either not believing he's Batman or hating the idea of vigilantism, while Stevens respects vigilante justice, hinting that he will try to take matters into his own hands with the Joker later. Big mistake. During the transfer, the Joker redirects the convoy with a burning fire truck, fire again being his tool, onto Chicago's Lower Wacker Drive. The Joker crashes in with a semi-truck carrying circus equipment. Laughter is best medicine, but with an S written left to make it the word slaughter is best medicine. But Joker hits Harvey's truck with gunfire and RPGs, and Batman's tumbler arrives to ram the garbage truck. Since that tilted truck would damage the roof of Lower Wacker Drive, Nolan's team accomplished this with 1/3 scale models of the tumbler, of the truck, and 145 feet of a small baby Lower Wacker Drive. I love how movies do this because it looks so good. Nolan specifically pulls off this illusion by underexposing the model set to match exactly the underexposure that they had in the actual Chicago street. Really, Christopher Nolan's best action has always been with cars and planes and other vehicles. He's not as good with hand-to-hand combat or with gunfights. And I think it's just because he grew up a fan of 007 movies, and the best action in that franchise, at least in the earlier decades that he grew up with, would have been car chases. Like, it wasn't until Pierce Brosnan and Daniel Craig where James Bond was doing any kind of cool fist fights or martial arts. Whereas Joker heightens with bigger and bigger hardware, Batman downsizes from the tumbler to the Batpod. And I don't know why it took me so long to realize this, but the motorcycle isn't the wheels on the driver's side of the tumbler, like the front and the back wheels. It's both front wheels of the tumbler and that axle breaking off the front of the tumbler, and Batman hinges the passenger wheel behind him to form this motorcycle. And it looks just so cool. And when it comes to crashing huge vehicles, Nolan always insists on going practical. The train in downtown LA in Inception, the plane in Tenet, and here, the flipping truck. Nolan's special effects supervisor Chris Corbold accomplished this with a massive TNT-powered piston beneath the truck bed to flip the truck, which they had to angle perfectly since they were shooting in Chicago's LaSalle Street. Cinematographer Wally Feister, shooting in IMAX, used two primary angles. One from the side, which required just a bit of VFX editing to paint out the piston. You can actually see the little blur where they did this. And then the front-on shot to get the effect of a driver on the street level observing this. As the Joker climbs out of the truck, he is just walking chaos. He stumbles out, he releases some gunfire, and then he walks right into the tow cables. Just a mess. And yes, this street standoff with the gun in the approaching Batman does recall the 1989 Joker's duel with that Batman. The Joker really does bait Batman into killing him, firing on innocent drivers both to clear the road and to piss Batman off. He knows that if Batman kills the Joker here in the street, the Batman will lose all moral authority. But Batman swerves before they collide, unstoppable force, immovable objects, they repel each other like magnets. But Gordon arrests the Joker, revealing himself disguised as one of the drivers of that truck. The Long Halloween comic storyline also features Batman posing as a SWAT officer and Dent faking his death, but both of these get reassigned to Gordon in this movie. Gordon faking his death remains one of the more logically muddy aspects of this film. The novelization says he wore a bulletproof vest on the day of the funeral, but it seems like Batman didn't know he was dead. No one did. I don't know how he kept it a secret, but really he played all of them to capture the Joker, and yet, like John Doe in Seven, the Joker wanted to get arrested to get Lau. I just think the Joker knew that whether it was killing Dent or killing Batman or Batman killing him or Joker just getting arrested, the Joker had enough traps spring-loaded around Gotham for any contingency. Ramirez escorts Dent to a car driven by Wards, and the camera stays on Ramirez. She knows Dent is immediately being traded to Maroni for leverage. So the Joker gets arrested, and the last thing out of his pocket is a potato peeler, which is a bit disturbing. Like, is he peeling skin off faces? But perhaps even more unsettling is the Joker's makeup in the scene, because when he was outside on the street, his forehead was sweating off the makeup. Now, in the holding cell, it's fresh and reapplied. Some ally on the inside gave him a chance to reapply. As he sarcastically applauds Commissioner Gordon, you can see fresh white paint on his fingers from when he reapplied that makeup. When Gordon first questions the Joker about Harvey's abduction, the Joker has all the power. His face is lit only from the side by a dim lamp, makes it look like a ghost through the shadows. His makeup makes it look like a melted candle in the shot. The Joker in the shot just looks like a freaking Rembrandt painting. But when Gordon leaves, flips on the light, and Batman appears suddenly behind him, all the Joker's facial details come into light. Batman slams his head on the table. Pushed over the head, the victim gets all fuzzy. Now, some have taken this to mean that the Joker might have been a military interrogator or torturer. I just think he's trolling Batman by calling himself a victim. Suggesting Batman doing this to him is what Joker did to that copycat Batman, Brian Douglas. Joker rubs his wrist against part of his forehead, and now some of his makeup smears off. Joker wants Batman to see the skin beneath the makeup here, the tactic to make it seem like he's showing his cards, because he often tilts his bare forehead forward, as he did back in the kitchen, signaling he wants to cut a deal. He wants his audience that he's talking to understand him. Now, normally in dialogue scenes shot over the shoulder like this, one character stays on the right side of the frame, while the other stays on the left side as the editor intercuts. It's called the 180-degree rule. Nolan's starts with Batman on the left, both in this close-up and the reverse shot of the Joker, and the Joker on the right side of frame. But then, after Batman asks, "Where's Dent?" we cut back to the Joker, and Nolan has shifted the Joker to the left, while Batman is now on the right. Nolan slides again after this, shifting Batman back to the left, the Joker back to the right. So Nolan is violating the I line rule to show the Joker getting inside Batman's head, urging him to violate his no-killing rule. The Joker says,
"I'm gonna kill you? What would I do without you?
Yeah, Ledger impersonates Tom Cruise and Jerry Maguire. Maybe a joke about Tom Cruise's wife at the time, Katie Holmes, formerly playing Batman's love interest. The Joker considers him and Batman dual figures. Joker's just unbound by a hypocritical code.
Just like me. See, I'm not a monster. I'm just ahead of the curve.
Yeah, Joker's so pompous here. He speaks like he's a more evolved strain of human. We're really just doing that to piss off Batman, because it breaks Batman's patience, because he refuses to tolerate someone saying mankind is destined to devolve into this kind of madness. Now that Batman has gone physical, Joker knows that he can tease it. Both Dent and Rachel were taken, and Batman totally loses it. By breaking this mirror glass, Batman has made a huge error. He leaves Joker with broken pieces of glass, sharp edges, that Joker will later use to escape. Batman's selfish rage allows the chaos to spill in. The take that won Heath Ledger the Oscar, I'm convinced, comes free.
Aquilo é Radish Egret. Parece que o jogo tem tipo um sistema que faz com que os pássaros não apareçam.
Just a bomb implant that kills him, the bright lights being the explosion. Rachel dies in the explosion, half of Harvey Dent's face burns, becoming the true Harvey Two-Face, and Joker escapes with the accountant Lau. As Batman stands in the smoldering ruins at 252nd Street, finds a double-sided coin. In screenplay structure, this part of the story is literally called The Dark Knight of the Soul, because this is the moment that forges Batman, turning him into the Dark Knight. When a hero hits rock bottom after a false victory, never he's forced to give up what he wants the most. For Batman, that was the false hope of a peaceful life with Rachel. Meanwhile, the Joker celebrates by sticking his head out the car window of a cop car like a dog, licking his lips. Later, Joker literally describes himself as a dog chasing cars, and it mirrors the cynic Diogenes of Greek philosophy, the founder of Cynicism, who is known for his dog-like behavior and belief in the virtue of dogs. So Batman places Harvey's coin by his hospital bed and puts the clean, unburnt face facing up, as he will later do to this White Knight's face after he dies. Dent realizes Rachel's death from the same coin he used to manipulate. One face of it now being burned away, just like half his face is burned away. Alfred consoles Bruce in the penthouse.
Bed is ready.
This little moment mirrors Alfred's moment with Joker's and Batman Begins. Listen closely, the same tragic Hans Zimmer music is played in both of these scenes. Alfred mostly consoles Bruce by refusing to let him read Rachel's breakup letter. Thus begins a noble lie that divides Alfred and Bruce in The Dark Knight Rises. Alfred knows that the final shred of hope that Bruce has is the thought that Rachel died loving him, and he knows sometimes a lie is more helpful than the truth. And so Alfred tells them how they caught the bandit.
We burned the forest down.
By doing this, Alfred is giving Bruce permission to cheat in this game with the Joker, to fight the Joker's fire with fire of his own. That fire being bat sonar surveillance and a vast invasion of privacy in Gotham. This is not a virtuous tactic, and Nolan underscores this necessary evil with his upfront tenet.
We got our initial sent into New York's JFK Airport. Turn the seatbelt sign back on, so...
I miss this shit.
The lawman awakens when the rule of law is defiled. Now, to create the visual effect of Two-Face in this movie, Nolan asked his artists to be subtractive rather than additive, because Dead's face would have been burned away, not makeup layered on top. Nolan told sculptor Julian Murray not to make it too realistic, though, because the gore would take the viewer out of the moment. Like, for example, that eyeball should have been driven out of the socket, but for a dangling eyeball bumping up against his cheek muscles, that just would have been too distracting. And really, we need that angry eye in place to connect with the damaged soul within. VFX company Framestore used trackers to identify Eckhart's face as a reference for a shifting exposed muscles. Nolan told Eckhart to act each scene two different ways. Once with Harvey's more restrained anger, and then another take with just unleashed rage, and then Nolan composited both together to literally convey the two halves of Two-Face's identity. But because they had to erase parts of his face, they ended up blocking this in really clever ways, so that we only initially see the edge of his scarring on the other side of his face, just the tip of that erased lip, with the challenge being the pillow behind it also had to be painted in. Artist Tim Weber told the amazing Channel Quarter crew recently that they had to recomposite Eckhart's eyeball, but they kept his natural pupil, so they tried to keep as much of his actual body parts in the shot, like his teeth, but for some shots, they didn't partially reanimate all of his teeth so that the lighting and surfaces would match with the exposed new teeth that they had to animate on the other side of his face. So Joker puts Wow at the top of the mob of money stacked in a pyramid. Film theorists estimated that pyramid at 10 tiers overall, 30 stacks of cash high per tier, assuming $10,000 stacked, to be a total of $4,688,000,000, and that it would take at least 27 hours to assemble. It's just another example of how the Joker in this movie is not a true agent of chaos that he claims to be. He's more just an agent, a calculating planner and organizer, and he puts all that planning to serve the purpose of appearing to be unhinged. It's all an act. Really, this has been my issue with the live-action Jokers since Heath Ledger. All of them amazing actors, but their Jokers are truly unhinged and truly damaged, so that they're more reactive, and they miss out on the aspect of the Joker that Ledger and Jack Nicholson truly understood, that the Joker is a planner. He's a type A personality. He doesn't reflect the true madness of society. He just exploits that madness with steady discipline and coherent vision and great execution. Meanwhile, the Batman in this movie also does his homework. Like when he and Alfred run through all the names of cops that have hospitalized family members, Bruce names these cops from memory. He's done all the prep work. This battle in The Dark Knight really comes down to which planner knows the people of Gotham better. Because the Joker is not a dog chasing cars, he's really a proud laborer. And as he burns Loud alive at the top of that stack, you can't help but sense a bit of Nolan himself griping at studios for burning money on things that don't contribute to a film's meaning. Now, we should note that the Joker does alter his plan in this one movie. With Harvey scarred and it being public news that he's in a hospital recovering, the Joker now sees a new Joker card to play, and so he decides to silence Holden Reese. So overall, the Joker isn't following a perfectly structured plan. He really just set up various contingencies ahead of time, and he plays the hand he gets dealt. And one of those contingencies is to send the city scrambling to evacuate the hospitals, and this wasn't to silence Reese just to cause chaos. It was really so that he could get close to Harvey Dent. Now, yes, it is very silly that Harvey Dent does not realize this nurse is the Joker until after he takes off the mask, but it doesn't cover his eye makeup. But really, Harvey Dent was just recently sleeping when the Joker shot that cop. Harvey Dent is just kind of delirious and coming to. Like, notice on the pillow beside him are those gooey stains from his face. I think he was obviously sleeping a moment ago, and he's just kind of out of it. So the Joker blames the schemers in Gotham.
Do I really look like a guy with a plan? I'm a dog chasing cars. How do we know what to do with life? I'm caught. I try to show the stars how pathetic their attempts to control the are.
This is an outright lie. It's designed to manipulate Harvey Dent. The Joker is totally a schemer. So the point of this scene is not a defense of nihilism or greed against the system. We're really just watching a manipulator using these kind of talking points to unhinge the vulnerable. Everything the Joker says and does here is choreographed. He talks about Rachel on the side of Harvey's face that is unscarred, and then he moves to the other side of the bed and talks about anarchy on the side of Harvey's face that is monstrous, appealing to his darker nature. And when the Joker puts Harvey's hand on the gun to press it against his head, Joker keeps his index finger on the hammer of the gun, so that even if Harvey tried to pull the trigger, he would not be able to. His illusion is chaos. His reality is total control. Joker says,
tomorrow I tell you, like a gangbanger will get shot, or a truckload of souls will
and now, while some have interpreted this to think that Joker might have been holding military, he also sounds like he just read Buy American addition to his face to make him look like a sloppy dog chasing cars, when really this kind of smoky eye would take way more precision. He didn't chaotically smear this on his face, he took his time, and I think his white fingers on the outside of his fingers became part of that mask, which is why I think as he leaves the room, he cleans his hands. All of this chaos is really just an illusion. Says here.
Oh, and you know the thing about chaos? It's fair.
Yes, he's appealing to fairness for Harvey Dent. Let's remember, fairness does not always equal justice. For example, it's fair to let the parent of a murdered kid seek vengeance against the murderer, but the just course of action is to leave it to the state to do the prosecution, because that personal bloodlust will only hurt the afflicted more. And I like how Ledger pronounces fair, almost like he's saying the word fear. It's fair. Because it's not really chaos or fairness that he's wielding against the people of Gotham, it's their fear. Bruce opts against the Batpod in daylight hours for his Lamborghini Murcielago, which is Spanish for the word bat, so it's a literal Batmobile. And I kind of feel like Bruce used this Batmobile to send a message to Coleman Reese that he knows he's Batman. Joker's hospital bomb doesn't fully detonate at first, which surprises him, and there's a myth that I used to believe that Ledger improvised this reaction, but this delayed explosion was actually planned and perfectly timed by Christopher Nolan's special effects team to give the Joker his character beat. So what seems like chaos and unfinishness is really part of the plan. Joker hangs Mike Bangle, played by Anthony Michael Hall, upside down to read this message. That's why the papers float upwards. He is upside down like a bat. And this is how the Joker will end the movie. Upside down, like a bat, but not right side up. So Batman decides to burn the forest down with a vast surveillance system, which may have been inspired by the Listening Post exhibit at London Science Museum. And in the years since The Dark Knight, the expansion of smartphones has actually made it easier for people to be tracked just like this in real time. But in the aughts, Nolan was really responding to the United States Patriot Act and the rise of the surveillance state to combat terrorism. Now, Nolan is sometimes critiqued for what some people say is promoting military technology, but literally every one of Nolan's films focus on how horrifyingly dangerous military tech can be in the wrong hands. And in this movie, Batman does not give this weapon to the cops.
Oppenheimer é do Nolan. Ui.
Suddenly in the backseat of Maroney's car, and love how Nolan includes some subtle blocking to justify how he was able to get there. In the shot on the far left, right before the brain passes it, Maroney's guy gets hit in the back and grabbed by Harvey, and you can actually see Harvey entering the backseat in the side view mirror of the car, right as Maroney looks at his watch at this exact moment, explaining why he wouldn't be able to see Harvey. I'm almost certain that all of us, the person we watched this movie, did not notice this. Nolan didn't expect us to, but he put this in there for the rewatch. And another new detail that I just noticed, Two-Face, as this next second Joker, echoes words that Joker said in the first act of the movie, but in reverse order.
Bus.
So the movie's third act sets up the two fairies of the Joker's final game, one with normal citizens, one with convicts. The Joker tells each of them that the detonators are for the other folks. So this social experiment finale turns The Dark Knight into kind of an interesting morality play, kind of like the movie Play 12 Angry Men. Batman and the Joker have made their cases for the just way for society to behave, and now it's really up to the two jury pools to test who made the best case, the White Knight mindset versus the Dark Knight mindset. Now in game theory, this is called the prisoner's dilemma, in which two prisoners apart from each other and pressured by investigators to betray their partner. If the prisoners betray each other, they both go to jail for the longest sentence. If only one betrays the other, the one who betrays the other goes free, but the other is really screwed. But if both prisoners stay quiet, they do less time. And the Joker's assumption is that because he grouped a couple hundred people on each vote, as opposed to, say, just a dozen people who deliberate calmly like a jury, then frenzy will inevitably prevail on both votes. Sending them after Coleman Reese was really a test for this very experiment. We get to see two different ways that societies can respond to these crises. The average citizens hold a vote, and just that act of taking the time to slowly think it over, slowly put their names in a helmet, that calms them down a bit to realize that, hey, in this time, we are still here, which is really Nolan's way of saying, hey, maybe slow-moving democracy can actually be a good thing. Meanwhile, among the convicts, they essentially act out Harvey Dent's historical example earlier in the movie, suspending democracy and letting one man take the burden of defending the society. In this case, the Julius Caesar is this one criminal who ends up being that hero that is both deserved and needed right now. I love that both forms of positions have their merits. I like how Nolan ultimately more toward one man getting the right position first, as the former Two-Face Tommy Lee Jones said in the line, first to start. sparks of anticipation twitching on his face, but his bluff has been called. Humiliation has now set in. This is the weakest we've ever seen the Joker in the movie. His greatest power until now has been a shifting backstory about his scars, and that's what he defaults to here, but Batman doesn't let him get it out.
You know how I got these scars? No. But I know how you got me.
So the Joker hangs upside down now. You can see that's what he defaults to here, but Batman doesn't let him get it out.
But you know how I got these scars? No. But I know how you got me.
So the Joker hangs upside down now. You can see a new fresh scar.
But I know how you got these.
Smile into more of a Gotham frown, but Nolan slowly turns the camera so that it makes the Joker look right side up for this final scene, showing how the Joker has already inverted Gotham to his perverted worldview through one final ace in the hole, his releasing of an insane madman with one Harvey Dent. Joker's final line of the movie is pretty chilling.
Like, all it takes is a little push.
So yes, the Joker's philosophy is that all human beings, throughout fear, will inevitably descend into a gravitational pull toward madness, and that all it takes is one bad day to send us spiraling. Well, yes, sometimes all you take is a little push. All you really need after that push is someone reaching out. So yes, while Batman does give a pretty big push to Harvey Dent at 252nd Street, he doesn't let the Joker fall to his death. He reaches out. Even the Joker, Batman is committed to proving wrong, that we are not all destined to fall into madness, and that all of us can be reached out to and kept from falling into that despair. So the movie's final scene circles back to the three-headed debate among the city leaders, Batman, Harvey Dent, and Jim Gordon. And while Batman didn't allow Joker one final scar story, he doesn't allow Two-Face one final coin flip. Though, for Harvey, it does land on heads. Gordon says, "Thank you." In which the callback to the ending of Batman begins.
I never said thank you. You'll never have to.
They choose to lie, cover up Harvey Dent's killing spree by blaming it on the Batman. Batman says, sometimes the truth isn't good enough, and sometimes people deserve to have their faith rewarded. As Batman runs off, Harvey's son calls after him. Yes, it echoes the little towhead calling out to the gunslinger at the end of 1953's Shane. One of the most famous cinematic endings. Rather than seeing the literal death of the man, we are seeing the death of the hero's reputation, as he lives long enough to see him become the villain. Gordon explains,
This is the hero not the one who is right now.
Gotham City deserves a selfless scapegoat willing to swallow their sins, but right now, it needs a beacon of hope, a martyr public servant, someone to inspire them so that they themselves can feel like the heroes in their everyday lives. Batman can't do that, Harvey Dent could. Because as we watch this movie, we don't really know what it feels like to be the Batman, but we do know what it feels like to make difficult choices in our everyday lives. And it's interesting how importantly Batman ensures the Joker doesn't win by playing his game. They lie. They invent a new narrative about how Harvey Dent got those scars. And while it's not fair, it is just to let the public believe a lie that does less harm than if they knew the truth. A defense of lying is not a cozy value to end a movie with, but it is what makes The Dark Knight the best Batman film. In journalism school, I was taught that truth is paramount, but also another interesting value that every young journalist is taught is almost as important: afflict the comfortable and comfort the afflicted. It's just a tough truth that any adult who's had to take the high road at some point in their lives understands. To comfort the afflicted sometimes just means to afflict one's own comfort. Uphold the lie, take the heat, and keep doing the work. That's why this uncomfortable ending still hits so strong for so many viewers, because we've all been through that at some point in our lives, and it sucks, but we get it. And so Batman takes a literally high road in the final frame of the movie.
No.
And so it leaves us with hope that we can resist the gravitational black holes of madness by taking a selfless high road, and that there is light at the end of that tunnel. I am amazed how many new angles I was able to find in this masterpiece of a film. What's something new you discovered upon your most recent rewatch? Subscribe to the Deep Dive and share this channel and videos.
Idiot.
Follow me at EA Boss, and I'll see you next time. Michael Keaton and Jack Nicholson are perfectly paired in this film because they both have eyebrows shaped like little township plus sticks twice on their faces, and they design this cow so that the brows exaggerate Keaton's natural angles. It serves the purpose all theatrical masks should, not to hide what's underneath, but to unveil it. I'm Eric Voss, and this is The Deep Dive. Let's dive into 1989's Batman, directed by Tim Burton, starring Jack Nicholson first and Michael Keaton. This film redefined Hollywood to be driven by vengeful superheroes. Its timeless visual, music, and production design its legacy so powerful that it brings Michael Keaton back into the cowl 34 years later. A return is so deserved because he, more than any other Batman, in my opinion, understood that Bruce Wayne isn't cool. He's an aloof oddball with undiagnosed dissociative identity disorder who moonlights as a bat in order to colorful masks, acid wash skin, toxic makeup. Burton's Batman is all about the faces we wear. And as we go through this film, we will see how the faces of Batman unveil the freak show Burton truly envisioned for this franchise. Now, the opening credits of this film bill Jack Nicholson first. This was a contract stipulation by Nicholson on the film and on all marketing materials, as his casting gave this project real heat. So right here, we gotta pause and talk about the Batmania of summer of '89. See, unlike the past pop culture sensation of Star Wars, which George Lucas worried would be a flop before that release, so they didn't really commercialize it until after, Warner Brothers, upon casting Jack Nicholson and Batman, knew this film would be a hit before the release, so they went in with a hell of a plan. Their poster was simply the Batman emblem. That's it. And then, in summer 1989, there were Batman toys, Batman cereal, people shaving the Batman logo into their hair. Freaking Prince was doing the soundtrack for the movie. Batman was everywhere, and it worked. This movie made $40 million in its opening weekend, which broke the record at the time, and became the then fastest movie to reach $100 million. This completely changed the industry. Opening weekend sales made the world party. The toys. Exclusive toy making rights for this film, which would be called which was bought by a guy named Ike Perlmutter, who is bankrupt Marvel in 1993, which led to things like X-Men films, Spider-Man films, and yes, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. So, without Batman 1989, without Jack Nicholson being such a heavyweight, such confidence, we not have an MCU. Okay, back to the film. The film opens Ray Garnett on the script, showing us Gotham City. This version of it conceived by production designer Anton Furst, who won an Oscar for this. To create Gotham, he mixed clashing architectural styles to make Gotham his metropolis attraction. He said,
Oh, bro.
Napier watched Dent speak backstage. Alicia's model photos on the wall include one with her lips bright red, foreshadowing a mask that Joker will later make her wear. A white face with red lips. Everyone in this movie is wearing masks, and I love how Bernie and Gray play these two together. Later, Mayfair bribed Lieutenant Eckhart, played by William Lukin, who played the rebel pilot Porkin, Star Wars A New Hope, and the government man in Raiders of the Lost Ark, who says, seriously, everyone in this movie shows up everywhere else. Eckhart said that he answers to Grissom, the crime boss, like Jack. Thank God. This film diverges from the Joker mythology in the comics in a number of ways, including showing the Joker's origin as a gangster. Like, he's certainly a sadistic sociopath, but he's not clinically insane. For him, it's all ego. Beneath the faces and masks worn in this movie is a battle between ego-driven performative insanity, the craziness that Nicholson...
Oh, deixa eu ver. Yes!
mental illness that Bruce actually suffers from. Future film Jokers actually take a more empathetic approach to mental illness. Heath Ledger's Joker takes it personally when people call him a freak or crazy. You're crazy.
Leave no cell behind with the world's best converting checkout from Shopify. Say goodbye to a band.
Os para-rodes. Não deixa eu tô falando.
Joaquin Phoenix's Joker was a more direct product of the defunding of mental health services in the 1980s, but Nicholson described his Joker as pop art. After playing mentally ill roles in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest and The Shining, Nicholson's take on Joker was a performance artist, a showman, a narcissist, behaviors that were all present before Jack Napier fell in the vat of acid. As a gangster, he already wore a bright purple suit, the one splash of color in this film where all other major players wear black and white and gray. Now, Joker loves having a theatrical clown mask stained on his face because it gives him an excuse to be the psycho killer he always was. Bruce, meanwhile, is more understated in this movie. When Tim Burton approached Michael Keaton for this role after the two had worked together in Beetlejuice, Michael Keaton says this was a terrible idea, that he was known as a more comedic actor. But when Keaton sat down to read the script, he said that there was one take he had on Bruce Wayne, and that was, this man is truly mentally ill, that suiting up as a bat is all he can do to prevent a full psychotic breakdown. And Tim Burton agreed that's how he wanted Keaton to play this role. So notice how Keaton's Bruce is shot. He's way less comfortable in a tux than he is in a bat suit. Michael Keaton is, in my opinion, the only Batman to be more handsome in the cowl than he is out of it. All the other Batman, we got our hunks out of the cowl. And this is not a knock against Michael Keaton's appearance. The man is attractive. It's more of a compliment to his acting skill. The way he puts on the suit, a new confidence overtakes him. In my opinion, it's the most transformative transition between Bruce and Batman. Couple fun DC Easter eggs here. The reporter in Knox gets mocked by a staff with a Batman in a suit, signed by Bob Kane, who along with singer co-created Batman, and he meets Vicky Vale, which is focused in Portugal Maltese, the fictional country in DC Comics, which recently the setting of 2021 transformed to Jack Plant, who orders Napier to oversee the Axis chemical job personally, and Napier flips up a Joker burn, eyebrows looking a lot like Nicholson's eyebrows, and a hole in the cheek, which is where Napier later gets shot when his bullet ricochets. Vicky bumps into Bruce at the fundraiser.
Did you tell me which of these guys is Bruce Wayne?
I'm not sure.
Again, the faces we wear. Unlike other Bruce Waynes and future Batman movies who are all tabloid party boys, Michael Keaton's Bruce is more of a faceless recluse, like a Boo Radley. He's not even certain of his own identity unless he's wearing the cowl. Axis Chemicals is based on Ace Chemicals.
No Casino Online, Bacana Play, recebe até 250 € no teu primeiro depósito.
Anda lá, jogo. Esmago. Oh, urso, come here. Come here, urso. Yes, daddy. Parte-me tudinho. Parte-me.
Come on, girl. One more time.
Chemicals to the DC Comics, and in this sequence where Batman slings the first gangster over the railing, Burton gives us our first look at that open vat of chemicals in the background. It's Chekhov's bat. And throughout this, while the stunt combat is limited, there is a great moment when Batman jabs the goon, and the guy stays up a half beat longer just to sell his head falling off. Sometimes great movie action is just about making it pop on camera. So Jack Napier falls in the acid, and his staying hand reaches up from the runoff, and he can see his lucky deck of cards floating up, the Joker card right in front. Throughout this movie, Nicholson's genius comes in how much delay he fuels into his monstrosity, the way he demands mirror, the way he doubles over and free, and then transitions smoothly into his iconic cackle. Throughout this, Nicholson is hiding in space, but he wins us over with his laugh alone, setting an important rule for all Jokers going forward. You have to nail the laugh and make it your own. On her date in Bruce's mansion, Vicky says the house doesn't feel like him, and Bruce says,
Chefe, quanto custa essa mochila?
Em promoção por tempo ilimitado na Tempo, R$0.
R$0. Mas é de boa qualidade mesmo?
A qualidade é impecável. Dá só uma olhada. Essa mochila é prova d'água de show.
Yeah, since Bruce has never been in the dining room, the part of this place that is him is, of course, the Batcave. Vicky later takes off her shoes as she climbs the staircase, something she does in the final act as she climbs the cathedral stairs with the Joker, which is how Bruce knows that she's with him. Joker reveals himself to Grissom to get his revenge. Now, since Nicholson was allergic to spirit gum, they had to use a silicone adhesive and an acrylic-based makeup paint called Pax with a specific shade of white to not blow out the brightness. Now, about Burton lights the shots of Joker's approach so you can just start to make out his ghostly face in the shadows, which on a big screen film projector just looks really cool. Because you wonder, am I the only one who can see this right now? Joker shoots up and Grissom falls back into his chair. He's wearing his back.
o cinto.
Mais um bocadinho.
Ah, sim, pois claro. E talvez repita mais vezes.
Olha.
Back into his chair. He's wearing his bathrobe after a shower, his legs open on that table. Telling us that from Joker's point of view, Jack plants his junk is probably exposed. Now, to further prove that Joker's mania is performative, after he kills Grissom, what really seems to activate him is the newspaper saying Batman terrorizes Gotham's gangland.
Wait till they get a load of me.
He's really like an actor reading a casting list in Deadline, realizing that a rival performer got a role he wanted. It's really all ego with him. Joker takes over all the other bosses, Brian Tony with a joy buzzer.
In the old time.
Yeah, a hot time in the old town. Yeah, it's an old minstrel song from 1896, commonly associated with the Great Chicago Fire.
Huh?
No. What is it that gives you the will? Granted feel in your heart. Everyone has dreams. It's hard to believe. Eu acho que já tenho este. Eu assumo que já apanhei o que eu precisava.
You know what to do, girl.
Drinking that you want to bite off all the pedal shaved off my head, and then hit the one who just trying to leave here.
Hello, girl.
It's time to refile. Oh. Uh, uh, uh. Where is he? Where are they? Napa. Show me, show me. There's a zombie on your lawn. There's a zombie on your lawn. We don't want zombies on your lawn. And there's a zombie on your lawn. I know your type, tall, dark, and dead. You want to bite off all the better shaved off my head. Un spread americano. Where is he? Where are they? Yeah, concurrent. Where is he? Where is he? Where are they? A partir de agora é só coletáveis.
With the Great Chicago Fire, and I love how in the scene he wipes away his flesh-colored makeup to reveal the white underneath. Think about how hard that would be to pull off. The makeup team did this by first applying the white acrylic makeup and then coating that in silicone oil, which nothing really sticks to. So they had to painstakingly cover that with the flesh-colored grease paint, airbrushing and fading it to make it look good, and then they soaked the handkerchief that Joker uses with isopropyl alcohol, so that when he rubbed his head, it would remove just the flesh-colored grease paint, but not smear off the white acrylic underneath. So the result is we get this really unsettling magic trick. So obviously Tim Burton's take on Batman is absolutely iconic, and one of the most iconic things about it is Jack Nicholson's performance as the Joker, and I can't believe that our friends at Iconic Cocktail helped us craft a Joker-inspired cocktail just for this video. Wait till you get on one of Mixer's like zombie. Get a free set of speed on my number one guy. Joker kills Vinny with a quill pen. The pen is truly mightier than the sword. Hello, that will later be echoed in The Dark Knight, where the Joker kills the guy with a pencil.
Sabe o que acontece quando sua boca não é gostada? Está ótimo, está na coisa linda. Se eu tivesse perto, pode ficar.
I tell you, a lot of Chris Nolan's playbook in The Dark Knight started right here in this movie. But I just appreciate how Burton finds everything unnerving about clowns. Snaky eyes, freakish smiles, see paint, the hand buzzer, squirting water from the clown, garish balloons, a bang flag pistol. Everything clown-like is weaponized. Harvey Dent is asked about Batman. The Joker uses an extendable boxing glove to punch his cage directly in the side of Dent's face, exploding its tap of Two-Face's face gets burned. We see a CIA folder about nerve gas that leaves victims smiling, and photographs that Joker excessively cuts up and leaves all over his floor. A literal cutting room floor, as he's in the process of editing the Smile commercial. His chemicals ship out from the acid plant when he heads to the new studio room where the poor female anchor has a last-minute touch-up, which is what causes her death by laugh. This is the scariest part of the game, especially the way Joker's commercial news broadcasts. Like he has access to the airwaves now, too. The creepiest aspect is models. Think about it. To do this, the Joker must record enough film close-ups and then put it on the dead model's face. It's never really explained. In my WandaVision deep dive, I introduced the concept of unexplained arbitrary horror. And Tim Burton loves doing this. Shots that don't really make any practical sense, have no basis in reality. A living cartoon, some say an uncanny valley. Tim Burton was an animator. He knows what the uncanny valley is and loves to drag us into it just to freak us out. And so in this movie, he uses the idea of a creepily edited lo-fi TV commercial just to get under our skin. And so throughout this movie, the TV news reporter looking increasingly drab, unable to use makeup or any cosmetic products. Joker brings Vicky to the museum and gives her a mask to wear, forcing her to wear a mask to play the part in his game. And then he and his goonsty face painting set to Prince's Party Man. Yeah, it's wild. Boombox Goon follows Joker everywhere because this is performative insanity.
That's
Joker wants the only fine art in Gotham to be his own iconography. He's pissed off that anyone would be looking anywhere else.
I'm sorry.
Now, the artwork we see includes Rembrandt's self-portrait and the Blue Boy by Thomas Gainsborough,
Okay, well,
which shows up in Arthur
that's
Fleck's
all
apartment
right.
in the 2019
You've
Joker.
already done
One
more
thing
than
the
I
Joker
could
does
ask
not
for.
touch is Frank's
I'll
bacon
make do.
flavored with meat, and the work of the pizza Francis Bacon would later inspire Christopher Nolan for The Dark Knight. Joker also points to the unfinished portrait of George Washington and says, which is what he says to Vicky Vale. What he wants. Later in the parade scene, the original idea was for the money that Joker threw out to be all counterfeit with hidden names on the bills. Joker shows Alicia Star's face
Que disseste?
so that it covers Vicky's face with rain. That's the face she wears. Joker's red.
Vaca. Olha. Vocês homens são todos iguais. Olha.
In my running theory that every American film is trying to be either The Wizard of Oz or Citizen Kane, Batman 1989 is actually Citizen Kane. It opens with a Xanadu-style, easy shot of Gotham, and at the heart of this movie is a mysterious Charles Oscar Kane figure with Bruce Wayne. As journalists and the film try to decode who this eccentric billionaire really is. Vicky stalking this orphan who puts roses on the spot where his parents were killed. That is the mystery of what is Bruce's Rosebud. Batman drops in and synthesizes them outside, where we get our first shot at the Batmobile. They use parts of a Chevy Impala, but the engine...
There. Let's go, girl. got this, girl.
Oito, 9, 10. 7, ok. Is that revalue? A parte dos pássaros que era a mais difícil já está. Quanto aos ovos de... Eu ia dizer isso. Quanto aos ovos de... Quanto aos ovos de crocodilo, né, que eu acho que é mais ou menos obtidos por sorte, né, tipo, não estão sempre nos mesmos locais. Eu acho que aí também já deve ter conseguido, em princípio. Eu acho tipo bem engraçado ao final de Stranger Things. Tipo o que aconteceu ao Mike. Que é tipo. É o que acontece quando tu és tipo viciado numa cena. Alright, só ver isto e já explico. Eu acho que aquilo que o Mike teve que passar no final da última temporada, né? Supostamente, acho eu que é a última temporada, é tipo algo que realmente é merecido. O gajo nas últimas temporadas, e acho que desde o início da série, a sua personalidade acabou por se traduzir do tipo. Amoso. E a personalidade é basicamente só isso dele. E então basicamente no final da série, né? Com ela já não presente, né? Por acontecimentos que aconteceram, o gajo teve que lidar com isso. O gajo foi obrigado a confrontar-se a si mesmo. Ele apercebeu-se que tipo sem ela ele não era nada. Ele ficou viciado numa coisa e tipo isso é uma cena que um gajo realmente não deveria fazer, acho eu. Mas porque é que o guia está-me a mandar de cima para trás para cima? Fosga-se. Ah, era para subir aqui, ok, pois. Mesmo assim. O que é isto? Obadiah Hinton. Ah, isto é aquela treta do ai, os espíritos. Mas eu realmente acho que aquilo que o Mike acabou por sofrer foi uma cena que ele merecia. Tipo, realmente. Sei lá, mas há tipo muitas coisas que acontecem naquela série que um gajo simplesmente não concorda. Tipo, uau. Então, estás-me a dizer, este tempo todo estávamos ou a Nancy fica com o Jonathan ou a Nancy fica com o Steve e no final ela escolhe. Não, I'm a do my own thing. Sim, não vou ficar com nenhum dos dois. Vou ser independente, vou descobrir-me, vou viajar. Grande treta. O que é que ele irá falar?
Thank God you came, James. I was panicking. I cannot believe the pressure this woman puts me under.
Ele nunca lhe chamou James
Baroness,
Milton.
of course, she writes the most dreadful missives from Baden-Baden. Still, now I will finish her creation. Oh, my lord. And after that, it's never ending.
If you keep paying, I'll keep looking.
I don't like to impose.
Keep paying, man. It's not an imposition.
Well, then, here's the money for the orchids for that ghastly Baroness. And next, I think we'll work on this. It's a displayer cabinet of curios for the Contessa de Bellagio's new palazzo on Lake Garda. She's asked me to summer with her there next year, but, well, I find the whole thing a little gaudy. Italy is just so overrun with Americans just now, don't you find?
Yeah, it's a real problem.
And it's the worst kind of Americans. Financiers, New Yorkers, they're such vulgarians.
What is it that you need?
The silly old thing has a penchant for lizards. So, I'm making her a series of centerpieces focused on alligator eggs and orchids. It's about duality.
I'm all about duality.
Oh, well, here. And remember, James, take your time and bring me nothing. Nothing but the best.
I'll try.
Not good at all, I'm afraid.
Foda-se, andas. Hakuna Star Orchids, 7 Cigar Orchids, 5 Ghost Orchids. Arch.
That new judge is like all the others. They come here with dreams of bringing American
Ah, pá.
justice to the French civil code and end up making rulings on their backs beneath the red. That's nice. It's happened before, you know.
Espera, o quê? Home for now. Ah, isto é as páginas do Arthur. Eu estava a ver o desenho, era muito giro. More trouble with the Pinkertons, more trouble with them locals, more trouble all around. Little Jack's been kidnapped, so we're trying to find him. Apparently some fellow in St. Denis, center of something or other, took umbrage to our prisons and kidnapped him, or, heaven forbid, worse. We burnt down Braidwood Manor when we went hunting for him in an almighty scrap. Then we got again by J. Agent Milton. This time he asked us for Dutch's head on a platter. We got him to leave, but they ain't too pleased with us. So he headed to Saint Denis with little Jack. We was told he'd been kidnapped by some local gangster, this Italian feller called Bronte, a called tough guy. We ain't found him, but he's found us. Dutch and I headed into town, and I managed to get myself robbed by a bunch of children. This was a new low, even by my standards. Anyway, we found Mr. Bronte and are going to pay him a call. We better get boy back soon, not least because if we don't, Abigail will kill a lot of us. All this after we burned down the Braithwaite Manor House looking for him and made some real enemies of ourselves back in that country. We're now hiding deep in the swamp, trying not to get. Foda-se. My wild liver sunk too deep in the mud. I cannot decide which I like less, the swamps or the city. Both are full of parasites, reptile and slime, but the swamps prettier. That she's trying to think of where we can run next, but in the meantime we are deep in the swamps, hiding in some disease-ridden old plantation house, mostly swallowed up by nature. Guess we'll find Jack. Get some money, then flee, but where? These bastards ain't giving up. We're a long way east of land, we know, and far from real open country.
Not good at all, I'm afraid.
You just stay strong, yes?
Eu quero muito ver como é que é a obra dele, até eu vou fazer. I'll do it. Ok, Gator Eggs eu acho que tenho o suficiente. Hmm. Como eu tinha dito, se eu tivesse todos os ovos, eu poderia apanhar as orquídeas, mas como eu vou ter que andar aí à procura dos ovos, eu tipo, vou deixar para amanhã. A esta distância parecia uma mulher. Olha. É isso aí, eu não consigo mais jogar. Ok, até amanhã. Tchau. Peace. Existe uma frase no Stranger Things que é tipo assim: eu vendi o teu não, como é que é? Eu doei o teu casaco porque eu não gostava de rosa. Tá bem, pronto, filha da. Essa é uma das maiores provas que o Jonathan na série. Ele é tipo bué de egoísta. Yeah. O gajo é tipo extremamente egoísta. O gajo é tipo Phonics. Só tipo lá para o final é que ele se apercebe tipo. Se calhar coisa. Se calhar devia ser mais normal, mais simpático, né? Ele salva até o outro e tudo. Mas pronto, olha, é a minha opinião. Até à próxima. Peace.